All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Borderlands 4 is set to release pretty soon. And obviously, we have the mainstream gaming media going crazy to try to bring us all the content related to Borderlands 4. And now we have a couple of them supposedly having a hands-on preview of the game, and PC Gamer is one of them. And PC Gamer just recently gave Stellar Blade a 68 out of 100, so keep that in mind as we're going into this story about Borderlands 4. But apparently, even PC Gamer has to admit that Borderlands 4, the game that Randy Pitchford said would be totally different and just completely amazing and totally worth the money, whatever he asks you of, the $130 Super Deluxe Edition. Well, apparently now Borderlands 4 is just more Borderlands. That's basically it. It's just more Borderlands. Nothing new, nothing different outside of a couple of small things here and there. But PC Gamer, of course, is trying to make that seem like that's not a big deal, of course, because they want you to keep paying this $70 to $130 depending on the edition that you end up buying. So let's get into this article from PC Gamer. But of course, before we do, special shout out to the 90,300 of you that subscribe to the channel right now, and the over 50% of you that are not subscribed. Consider hitting that subscribe button today. I would greatly appreciate it. So it says that, yep, it's just more Borderlands, but Gearbox's consistency is respectable, and there's a cool hover bike. So yes, the hover bike is clearly worth you paying $130 for a Super Deluxe Edition with content that was taken out of the original game to sell back to you as a Deluxe Edition. But it says the next big Borderlands game isn't transformative, which is interesting that they're saying that, considering Randy Pitchford was saying the exact opposite, right? The CEO of Gearbox was saying that Borderlands 4 was going to transform the franchise back to what it used to be and bring us more in line of what made Borderlands 1 and 2 so loved in the first place. Seems like that's not exactly happening. But it says that it's not very transformative, but on the flip side, it also isn't a live service extraction shooter with survival elements, so that's good. I like how they're making fun of extraction shooters, but these are the first people who will be out here defending games like Marathon. These are the people that told us that Marathon is an amazing game. We're just angry chuds that don't like the game, and now they're saying, well, at least it's not another extraction shooter. So make up your minds. Are you for extraction shooters or are you not? He says there are no big surprises here. Borderlands 4 is more Borderlands. But if you're all extraction shootered out and a regular old co-op campaign is what you're looking for, I can sympathize, he says, then I think you've got something to look forward to. Specifically, a big world, some fun new movement abilities, and a cool hover bike, and fewer pop culture gags, at least so they say. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but Borderlands 4 supposedly is not going to have as many jokes in the game. And the reason why is because they say they're going for a more serious tone, because the game deals with a lot more serious elements about totalitarianism and whatnot, apparently. And I don't really know who out there would want a Borderlands that is a super serious Borderlands and doesn't at least make some gags here and there. But apparently they're going to minimize the jokes in Borderlands 4 because it's supposedly dealing with super serious themes that they want you to take seriously, whatever that means. But in any case, let's scroll down and keep going. The majority of my time in Borderlands 4, which they played for a few hours during a visit to 2K's offices last month. So these people got flown out. See, this is the problem with Access Media. They either get flown out or they get access to whatever offices, whatever special events, whatever wined and dined, all this stuff. They're flying out journalists to their offices to play these games early on. And then, you wonder why these journalists don't want to be 100% honest when it comes to what's actually in the game and whether it's good, bad, ugly, or whatever. But anyway, he went to the 2K offices last month, was spent exploring its uncharacteristically green opening environment. It's set on a new planet called Kairos, which has been hidden from the universe until series protagonist Lilith went and teleported a moon into its orbit at the end of Borderlands 3. This has to be a cosmic war crime, but there's a silver lining. The disaster disrupted the rule of an order-obsessed dictator called the Timekeeper, and the latest crew of Vault Hunters have now arrived on a planet in revolt. Wow, so an order-obsessed dictator. I can only imagine how on the nose this story for this game is going to be. So it says first contact. The grassy Kairos landing site isn't as evocative of Old West outlaws and post-apocalyptic gang warfare as Pandora's Badlands, and I slightly miss those Mad Max vibes. Like previous Borderlands games, however, Borderlands 4 will take us to multiple environments, including in this case, a snowy region, the shattered lands of Carcadia burned, and the Timekeeper's Fortress City. Then it says that the journey may be ever so slightly more serious than we're used to. And I don't really know, like this is not meshing with me very well. Because when I think of Borderlands 4, I think of like the cringy jokes. I think of the stupid gags. I think of the pop culture references, right? Whether it's a quest line or whether it's just a little bit of dialogue here and there or whatever. I think of all that. So now if they're taking that away or if they're minimalizing it to almost nothing, I don't really know. I don't know if anybody that really wants a super serious Borderlands. I feel like there needs to be a little bit of a balance here. But again, that could just be me. But after the excesses of Borderlands 3, which probably, to be fair, Borderlands 3 was filled with cringeworthy social media, nonsensical Gen Z garbage. So I can understand if maybe they dial that back a little bit. I get that. You know, maybe that's what they mean. I really don't know. Which included a poop launcher called the Porter Pooper 5000, an extended Tommy impression. Gearbox has promised to keep Borderlands 4 sense of humor more grounded in the Borderlands universe. The first important NPC I met stressed staying hydrated, so it feels like the studio followed through on that point. In fact, I never thought I'd be saying this, but I wouldn't have minded if by time with Borderlands 4 had been zanier. I'm sure I'll think differently when Claptrap shows up, though. Borderlands may have returned, but it hasn't been transformed. Case in point, the new movement abilities like grappling, double jumping, and gliding will be familiar to any modern FPS player, and they're fun. I like using them to quickly close the distance on hiding enemies and get above them. The butt stop attack, technically a fist slam, but whatever, you can perform while airborne is fun to spam. So we already knew this was going to be a thing with the movement, but apparently they've expanded the movement to be a little bit more free-for-all kind of movement. Here and there. Yeah, Borderlands Grounded just sounds really odd to me. So overall, this game seems like it's going to be quite a bit different, but at the same time, it's going to kind of be the same. You know, they're also talking about the hover bike. My favorite part of the demo was the hover bike. Unlike in previous Borderlands games, where you have to find a catch-a-ride station to destruct vehicles, Borderlands 4 equips you with a digi-runner that can be materialized whenever and wherever you want with just a button press, at least out in the overworld. So they're basically getting rid of the catch-a-ride system, which has been around for a long time, but they're getting rid of it completely, it seems like, and they're just giving you a digi-runner. Now, they might still have a catch-a-ride system where you can change from a digi-runner to maybe something else. Maybe you can unlock something else, but as of right now, they might be getting rid of the catch-a-ride system, which is interesting. So it says it makes this amazing noise, a sort of harmonic fan blade that tickles down the brainstem. It can rotate on a dime and strafe, which makes aiming its front-mounted minigun relatively easy, but it's also fast and momentum prevents it from changing direction instantly, so it takes finesse to round corners and thread gaps between trees. I only wish that when I plowed into let's slow down a little bit. When I plowed into enemies, the bike would send them flying, but I didn't manage any good punts. Maybe I just needed to try harder. So I don't know why people are trying to pretend as if Borderlands is something that is going to magically change. I see a lot of the Borderlands shills. They're out here trying to pretend as if Borderlands 4 is going to revamp everything. It's going to be a return to form, so to speak, as they like to say. But to be honest with you, I just don't see it. All right, I just don't see it. And even if the shill websites like PC Gamer are saying this is basically just more Borderlands, at this point, is this really going to be worth $70 to $130? Is anybody really genuinely thinking this is going to be worth that amount of money? Or are we going to be waiting 6 months later for it to be 50% off? Because to be honest, if I was just a standard consumer and not a streamer, there's no way in hell I'm going to buy this game full price. I didn't buy any other Borderlands game full price. Literally none of them. I bought the last Borderlands game that I bought, if I'm not mistaken, I believe was Borderlands 3. I don't know if it was Tiny Tina or Borderlands 3, but one of them I bought for like $8 or $9, something like that. Like, it was not worth it for me to pay full price for these games at all, literally at all. So you guys can let me know in the comments down below. What are you thinking about Borderlands 4? Are you going to be picking up the game at release? Is this something that you are excited to play? You can be honest and let me know. It's all good. Or are you on the other side of the fence and you're thinking this is not something you even want to come anywhere close to at the $70 price tag, let alone $130, knowing that, you know, a year from now, you're going to be able to buy the Super Deluxe Edition for probably $29.99? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Special shout out to the 90,300 of you that are subscribed to the channel. And if you are part of the 50% that are not and you enjoyed this video, consider hitting that subscribe today. And I'll see you guys on the next one.